One of the best times to buy a good leaf blower is during the winter right after leaf season. Basically by that time, you should have already done your leaf cleanup and then try to get rid of any equipment that you couldn't get started. It's just too bad this one wasn't free, but luckily they weren't asking too much for it either. So we're going to try and fix it, and once we do, I'll give you a full breakdown of how much it costs to do it. In today's video, we're going to be looking at this somewhat dirty orange leaf blower, and the problem is that it starts and runs, but it won't stay running. The first thing we need to do is look over the blower and make sure there's nothing terribly wrong with it. And besides being incredibly dirty in certain spots, it looks to be complete, which is good news. We'll then record the information from the stickers just in case we need to order parts for it. A good reason for an engine to start and run but not stay running would be bad fuel. However, the fuel that's in there is good since we just put it in the tank. A dirty air filter would be another reason, but this one is completely soaked in oil residue from the fuel, which would have kept it from starting to begin with. That means for us to start this engine, we'll have to run it without the air filter, but only for testing, of course. And as you just saw, it starts and runs great in half choke and high idle, but off choke, it stops. What that means is that the carb is not able to deliver enough fuel to keep the engine running. And a way to fix it would be to adjust the carb to deliver more fuel, which could work. However, we already tried this approach and it didn't work, so we'll go with plan B instead, which is a carb inspection. Since the carb adjustment didn't work, it only makes sense that the carb itself might be the problem. There could be other reasons why it's acting this way, but the carb is the most likely reason, so we'll start there. Now because of scheduling and the season, we don't have the luxury of time, so we'll use my most powerful blower that I have on hand to help dry this one off. Never underestimate the abilities of a little green leaf blower because they're more powerful than a hairdryer. It's unfortunate, but to take the carb off, we can't just take off the air filter cover, so we'll need more access. But after getting the air box out of the way, we see that the fuel lines are brittle and broken, which means this repair just got more difficult. Now to get the access we need, we'll need to take off the recoil and the side cover. Luckily, this is very easy to do. But after taking off one of these fasteners, did I realize something? This is the wrong one for this opening. It should look like this one, which has coarse threads, but instead someone put a fine thread one here, which is not correct. I then had to wonder if someone worked on this before and made other mistakes besides mixing up the fasteners. The fine thread bolts are supposed to be used on the recoil since the openings are in metal, while the coarse threads are for plastics. So the reason we needed to take the side cover off was because of the throttle linkage. We need to disconnect it to be able to pull the carb off the studs on the engine. And with the carb out of the way, the gasket stayed on the studs, but it could be stuck to the carb as well. So there is a minor problem. Someone over-tightened the nut, causing damage to the insulator, which could cause an air leak. The fix would be to replace it, but we could get by just doubling up another gasket though. Next up, we'll take the carb apart and see how bad it looks inside, because if it's real bad, we might just replace the carb. And on first impression, it's not terrible, just a bit of debris on the screen, which could mean we need to replace the fuel filter. The pumping diaphragm also looks perfect too, so no worries here. We just need to look at the metering diaphragm and see if it's still good too. So this is when things get a bit tricky. The diaphragm is supposed to be soft and flexible, which it kinda is. And that means it's still usable, but the problem is that it's kinda crooked, which is not ideal. So the combo of a somewhat flexible diaphragm and being a bit crooked could be the reason why the carb is not working its best. There's also some slime or mud on this side of the carb, so I think we might go a bit further with the cleaning than usual. Now to start off, I'm going to get rid of as much of the loose dirt as possible before stripping down the carb and putting it into the ultrasonic cleaner. Now if the carb didn't have that mud on the other side, I think we could have gotten away with a light cleaning, but not this time. Just be very careful when stripping down these carbs because this is when you could easily lose one of these tiny parts. I'm also going to take out the fuel adjustment screws as well, but first we have to count how many turns it takes to bottom out. That way, when we put them back in, we can put them back to where we found them. Also, don't mix up the screws because they aren't necessarily the same. After that, we'll then place the carb into a bag, then fill it with 100% degreaser before putting it into the ultrasonic cleaner. Doing it this way will allow me to use a small amount of cleaning solution and making it highly effective. There is one bad thing about using one of these, and that is time. Depending on how many cycles you make, this may take a long time versus just using carb cleaner. I do think using one of these is effective unless you use the wrong type of cleaner, which has happened before. Next up, we need to run new fuel lines along with a new fuel filter and a tank grommet since the old one is not sealing well to the tank. Now you can install the grommet first if you want, then run the fuel lines, but this way works too. Unfortunately, I don't realize it just yet, but the filter I chose to use won't fit in the opening, so I'll have to install it again. The second fuel line is the return line, and I'm choosing not to install that plastic splice on there, which was there to help keep it from backing out. So here's when I realized my mistake with the fuel filter. Next time I'll choose the thinner filter, but for now, I'll just install it with the fuel line coming out of the fuel cap opening. Installing the grommet can be a bit frustrating, but some lube on the grommet will help out a lot. Once the filter's been installed again, make sure to place it in a good location in the fuel tank so it can pick up as much fuel as possible. Once that's done, we can retrieve the carb from the ultrasonic, but as you can tell, time, heat, and the degreaser has oxidized the metal quite a bit. So here's my problem with the ultrasonic. I had to run 2 cycles in the cleaner and then 1 cycle with just clean water. I then had to go back through the carb with compressed air to get rid of any water. I didn't time it, but if I had to guess, I had the parts out of service for about 45 minutes, which is a lot longer than if I had just used carb cleaner. So is it worth using an ultrasonic cleaner? If this was a shop, I don't think so, and that's because time is money and replacing the carb makes more sense. The other reason is using an ultrasonic cleaner doesn't always mean a 100% success rate, whereas the replacement carb, in my opinion, has a very high chance. So take your pick as to which method fits your needs, because one way takes a lot less time than the other. So far on this carb, we're only going to replace the metering diaphragm, which you can buy individually for several dollars, or it could be as little as $1 if you buy it in bulk. Once this plate is back on, we'll put the pumping section onto the carb and then deal with that old metering diaphragm. Believe it or not, you can save these old diaphragms just so long as they aren't too far gone by putting them into a rejuvenation bath for a couple of days. Now before we forget, I do want to press the tabs on the back side of the purge bulb and release it from the air filter housing. We'll then add another gasket to the insulator to make up for the damage from that stud. I'd rather do this than replace it since this part is not cheap, at least when compared to a paper gasket. So the brass port on the lower right side of the carb is where the fuel filter line will connect to. That means we can cut that fuel line, leaving about 2 inches of line left, and at the same time we'll need to cut a piece of line about 5 inches long for the carb. We'll then take the carb back off the engine to make it easier to connect the fuel lines to the brass ports. If you hadn't figured it out, that short fuel line will go to the purge bulb as part of the fuel return circuit. Once the fuel filter line has been connected, we can then install the carb back onto the engine and make sure all the fuel lines clear the carb. We'll then install the throttle linkage and the trigger back onto its post, making sure it works. The last fuel line we need to locate is the return line, making sure it passes by the carb on the right side without interfering with it. Once that's done, we can then replace the air filter box onto the studs, making sure the 2 fuel lines pass through the opening for the bulb. Now if you didn't notice it, but taking everything off the engine was quite easy, however putting parts back on it requires a lot more details to keep straight. After cutting the fuel return line to length, we'll then connect the fuel line from the carb to the shorter port on the bulb. That means the fuel return line that goes back to the fuel tank will connect to the longer port on the bulb. Do not get these mixed up, otherwise the purging system will not work like it should, making it difficult to start. Before we move on, I like to put some fuel into the tank, that way we'll be able to do a flow test. So when pressing on the bulb, fuel will come up the filter line, enter the carb, come out the short fuel line, go into and fill the bulb, and then go out this line back to the tank. And as you can see, fuel is flowing just like it should be, meaning the fuel lines are connected correctly. And while we have this chance, I wouldn't mind taking a look at the spark arrestor screen for a clog, which could affect how the engine runs. The screen did fall out of the muffler when moving this plate, but here it is, and there is a small buildup in a circular pattern. I thought this was strange until I looked at the opening in the muffler, which was circular, and then it made sense. So I'm not going to clean it, and instead, I'm just going to turn it upside down so the buildup will start over in a clean spot. It's alright if you call me lazy, but I think I'm just being smart about it. And with that done, we'll put the muffler guard, the side cover, and the recoil back onto the engine so we can try to start it. Just make sure the muffler guard and the side cover are installed correctly, otherwise the guard could come loose. Also, make sure to install the correct fasteners to the blower, otherwise you could damage the plastics or worse yet, the metal parts. So unfortunately, we only have 2 of the 4 bolts for the recoil and the other 2 for the plastics. Only having half the bolts for the recoil isn't ideal, but it'll still work. However, if they mix up the fasteners, then the other 2 bolts might be someplace else on the blower then. So I did find one of the bolts by the fuel tank, but I wasn't able to find the last one, which is a bit frustrating. And after swapping the 2 fasteners, we'll then install a new air filter and its cover, choke the carb, and then try starting the engine. I will let you know that this is when things could get a bit tricky, and you'll see what I mean. So it didn't do anything, which is not good. Now we have to decide what to do next, and I'm choosing to believe that it's flooded, so we're going to use no choke and full throttle. So the carb did need a bit of tuning, but after that the engine ran a whole lot better. Now we just need to let it cool down and do another test start, and I will let you know that I already did that and it now starts just like it should. But don't be surprised if you still need to do a bit more fine tuning to get it running at its best. So how much did we spend to get this blower working again? Well, the air filter, fuel lines, grommet, purge bulb, and fuel filter can be bought for only $8, which is a great price. And if you only bought a single metering diaphragm, it would be about $7, which is about typical. I don't know about you, but I'd rather spend $15 any day than have to replace this blower with a new one. So my question is, would you have used an ultrasonic cleaner, or would you have cleaned the carb with carb cleaner instead and saved all that time? Thank you for watching. I really do appreciate your time here. Please feel free to ask me any questions about this project or about your own projects, and I hope to see you in the next video.